excited for today's video because not only do I have a new tutorial for you, but it's a bit of a milestone on the Cakes Valiant's YouTube channel. And the reason for this is because this video is my 100th video. So that means that if you head over to the video section on the Cakes Valiant's YouTube channel, you'll find 100 different cake decorating video tutorials that you can watch. And this is everything from basic techniques to piping cupcakes, to making gum paste flowers, anti-gravity cakes, and so much more. So if you're new to the channel and you haven't seen them, or if you've watched a few of my videos, then make sure you head over to there and just have a look through and see if there's anything that would be useful for you. When you're there, don't forget, if you do enjoy the videos, to give them a like, and if you find any that you think any of your friends would like, then you can also share the videos. So back to this video. Now, the first video that I ever made was how to make a really small pair of miniature shoes to go on the top of a cupcake. So I thought, wouldn't it be nice to re-explore this, but kind of reinvent it for the top of a normal cake. So in this week's video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this really cute pair of shoes that will fit nicely on the top of a 6-inch cake. And the best thing is that I haven't used any molds for these, and you can download all the templates that I use. Okay, let's get started. So the things that we're going to need is, first of all, I've just got some gum paste, or this one is just the Squire's floral paste. Now, I've just coloured a large ball in a purple violet colour and a slightly smaller ball coloured in ivory. Then got my non-stick mat and some modelling tools. Now, one of the modelling tools is just this roller with these teeth cut out. I've then got my rolling pin and my craft knife, some scissors and some sellotape, some cotton wool balls, or if you've just got some tissue. I've got my edible glue, some black gel colour. I've also got 2 plunger cutters. Now, these are just 2 parts. Finally, I've got my template. I'll put a link in the description below to where you can download and print this off for yourself. So the first thing that I'm going to do is cut out all the pieces on my template. Now, for my templates, I've just printed these on an A4 sheet of card. Once I've got all my template pieces cut out, I'm going to start with the long rectangle piece. Now, this is going to be a stand for us to lay our pieces onto so that we get the shape of the shoe. Now, running along here are some dotted lines. So I just want to fold along those lines. Now, taking a small piece of sellotape, I'm just going to join 2 smaller pieces together. And this is going to give us a nice triangle stand. So the back of the shoe is going to sit against here, and the shoe is going to come down just so it will dry to the right shape. Okay, so to start with, I've got the heel guide. So this is just going to be the shape of the heel on the shoe, and I've also got a ball of gum paste. Now, this one is just around 1 inch in diameter, and I'm just going to roll this into a cylinder. Take my knife and just cut it diagonally. So we've got one part which is wider at the top and it comes down to this point. Now, I'm going to be making 2 shoes, so I'm just going to wrap one of these pieces in cling film so that we can work on the first heel. First of all, want to start getting the shape of our heel. So I'm just pulling up that back area so that we get this nice slant on the top. So just pulling that up with my fingers. Now, I want it to taper down slightly so it's wider at the top. So I'm just going to use my thumb and my first finger on both hands and just push that between my fingers just to pull that down, and then go around that top edge, just pinching that gum paste. Now, we want it to slant down, so you might want to bring in your rolling pin and just tuck that in, pushing that down, getting that nice slope that we're looking for. Now, we also want to make sure that it fits in the back of our shoe. So at the moment it's slightly skinny, so I'm just going to pull that out so that all the pieces will go together. Now, the back of this is going to be the back of the shoe, so I want this to be slightly rounded, so I'm just softening that up with my fingers, and I want this inner edge to remain completely straight. Now, I'm also going to bring in my rolling pin and just flatten that front down so that it will be seamless when we add the sole of our shoe. I'm going to take my craft knife and just trim that off to the right length. Now bringing in the little stand, I just want to place it up against the back just to make sure that it's got the right height on it. We're just looking for it to stand up on its own. Now before I leave the heel to dry, I'm just going to take my craft knife again and just come up around 2 or 3 millimeters and put a slight dent in all the way around. And this is just going to be the bottom of the heel. So then we have the shape of our heel. So from the side you can see that we've got this angle coming down, which the base of our shoe is going to sit on. It then tapers down so it's slightly thinner at the bottom. Now I'm just going to leave this to one side, just standing up, leaning against the little stand, just so we can create the base of the shoe. Now I'm going to take some more of that purple gum paste, keeping a thickness of around 3 millimeters. So we've got quite a thick piece of gum paste. You then want to pick up the piece of the template that just says the main part of the shoe. And I'm going to use my craft knife to cut this out. Now, by using the templates with the words on the top, we're creating the left shoe. If you want to create the right shoe, you just want to flip them all over. Now, I'm going to go in just with my fingers, just down the sides of the top and the bottom, just to soften that off, give us a nice edge. Now, you want to make sure that you flip it back to the right side for the shoe that you're creating. I'm going to bring back in the heel for our shoe, and I'm going to place some edible glue just on the top. Flip my shoe over so that this is going to be the bottom, and just place my heel on the back of my shoe with my craft knife and just push that so that those two pieces sit nicely together. Flip this over, restand the back of the shoe on the back of the stand, and just pull the front of the shoe down so that it's sitting on our board. Now for the inside of the shoe, I've just got the template, which looks like the previous one with a slight piece cut off, and some of my ivory gum paste. Now I'm going to roll this out, and I want this really thin. I'm going to take my template and just cut the shape out. Now, as you're cutting gum paste, the one thing you might find is that it can stretch slightly, so just make sure and going in and trimming it off if any of those areas have slightly grown. So again, I'm just running my fingers just down those edges, just softening those up, just so we lose the cut marks. And before I put in any detail, I'm going to bring back in my shoe and just lay this on the top, just to check that I don't need to trim any areas. So I just want it slightly smaller than the shoe itself, so we get this little border around the edge. I'm gonna take my modeling tool that just has this wheel on the end and just run this around the edges, make it look like you've got stitching. Now, if you don't have one of these, you could just use a Dresden tool and just go in and add some dots. Now, if you did want to add a label from a shoe, you could just add this at the top. I'm just going to keep mine quite generic, so I've just got a heart plunge cutter. Now, without going all the way through, lay this on the top, push in slightly so we get a little indent of a heart. You then want to flip this over and just cover the back in some edible glue. Now, the next thing to do is work on the outside, so the sides and the front. We want to take the template that has this curve shape. Now I'm going to roll out some more of my purple, this time a little bit thinner than we had it for the base of our shoe, so around 1 to 2 millimeters in thickness. I can then use this template to cut out the top of my shoe. Now, once you've got the shape cut out, I'm going to do as I did before and just run around that edge, bring it back in my shoe. I'm going to take some more of that edible glue and just run it around the edge, just missing out the front just because the toe is going to be peeking through. I'm also taking a small ball of cotton wool and I'm going to pick up the top of my shoe and just place that on the top. Now I'm going to bend it round, and those 2 points, I'm going to push those against the side of our shoe. Bring both pieces up. Just pop in your cotton wool just in the front so that it will keep its shape. And I'm going up the whole length. Now I have made the ends slightly long, so I just want to trim those off. So I'm going to take my craft knife, cut the first one in the center, bring the second one round and make sure that they join up at the back. Just taking a modeling tool. Now this one just has an offset ball on the bottom. I'm going to run this along the edge and I'm going to work my way up the entire shoe, making sure it's running along that bottom edge. Now, just before this dries, on the inside and on the outside, take my Dresden tool, just put some dot down the back, create a seam. Now, I'm gonna pop this to one side just to dry until we're able to pick the shoe up. Now, while it's drying, I'm just gonna create a little bow that's gonna sit on the front. Now, to create the small bow, I've got a small piece of the purple gum paste and also my two templates, one that says bow and the bow center. So these are just small rectangles. Now we want the gum paste around 1 millimeter in thickness, and I'm going to cut out 2 of the larger rectangles and just a slightly thinner centerpiece. Take the 2 larger pieces and just flip those over. Now add in a small amount of edible glue just on one edge. Pull it over so that the 2 edges meet, but still so we've got a loop shape. I can then take the 2 edges and just pull those together. I'm going to do exactly the same with the other side. Now, taking my craft knife, I'm just going to trim those and applying a small amount of edible glue onto one of those. Just overlap them slightly and just using my Dresden tool to secure them as one bow. To finish this off, I'm going to wrap a small piece around the middle. Taking my Dresden tool, I'm going to run a line through the middle just so that I can bend it and shape it. Now I'm going to trim this off. With my fingers, just push it into place. So there we've got a nice little bow that we can add to the side of our shoe. So I'm just going to leave this to one side just for that edible glue to dry while we add the sole onto our shoe. Once your shoe has been drying for a while, I can take out my cotton wool and just remove that stand. I've got this template that resembles a sort of spoon shape. Now, the reason that I haven't cut the end into shape is just because everyone's heel might be slightly different. So I'm taking what's left of the ivory gum paste, roll this out until it's just over 1 millimeter in thickness. So you can do the bottom of the shoe in any color. I'm just using ivory, but you might want to go in with a black gum paste or even a red if you're trying to do a particular style of shoe. I'm just going to smooth around that edge, and I'm just going to test this on the base of my shoe. So we just want it to cover all those joins. Now for the back, I just want to let it fall into that gap using my craft knife and just mark on edge of the heel. I want it to end where we put those little grooves in. I can then go in and just trim this off to the exact size of my heel. If your shoe is going flat on your cake, you don't have to do this next part, but maybe if you're having it on its side or leaning up against something, all I want to do is just add some detail into the bottom of the shoe. So taking my Dresden tool, I'm just running some lines across that bottom, and these are just the grip that you have on the bottom of your shoe. Just as I did with the inside of the shoe, I'm just going to emboss a small little heart on there. Now flipping that over, cover that with edible glue, pop this into place and tucking that just on the side. Now I've got my little bow that's been drying, and again with some edible glue, I'm going to stick this just on the front of my shoe at the side, just holding that in place until that's dried slightly. And lastly, just with some black food gel that I've just mixed with a small amount of alcohol, paint the bottom of my heel. So once your shoe is completely dry, it's then ready to add onto the top of your cake. Now, you might just want one shoe, but I wanted a pair of shoes. In order to make the shoe for the right fit, you just want to turn all of your templates over and do exactly the same thing, but then you'll get a nice pair of shoes which are identical, and you can add these as your cake toppers. Now each shoe measures around 4 inches in length, so they're perfect to go on the top of a 6-inch cake. If you do need them at a slightly different size, then you can just scale up or scale down the template that I'll put a link to in the description below. You can also make these shoes in any color and any design to match the theme of your cake. I really hope you've enjoyed this video tutorial and would enjoy making your own version. If you have liked the video, then as always, don't forget to give it a like. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, there is 100 other tutorials for you to watch. So make sure you head over to the video section on the Cakes Millions YouTube channel. Also, don't forget you can subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of my future videos. So until next time, bye.